Welcome everybody to Ciconia When They Cry. This is the test version of the game that just released today. This is a game that's scheduled to be, well, coming out later this year from what I understand. And it's the new game by 7th Expansion, who makes the lovely award-winning Higurashi series and the Yumineko When They Cry series. So yeah, I'm really excited to play this. So let's start. To fly freely at the speed of sound like a fighter jet. To fearlessly withstand all attacks like a tank. To wield the weaponry of a fortress, a warship. What if all these superpowers were compressed into the left arm of a single soldier? I'm not talking about some sort of comic book hero. What you're looking at is the next generation of soldiers who will defend world peace. The Aerial Augmented Infantry, otherwise known as the Gauntlet Knights. This elegant gauntlet, worn on the left arm and reminiscent of medieval knights, contains all the weapons and technology humanity has given birth to thus far. It controls all the 8MS in their bodies and the surrounding air, enabling them to free themselves from the laws of the surface world and surpass them. The video showed a lone boy soldier wearing a gauntlet on his left arm standing on a massive airstrip. A whistle blew and his body floated upward about 10 centimeters. He literally was floating. Cutting-edge 8MS techniques made it possible to create and control force fields, releasing his body from gravity. The whistle blew again, and his floating body danced like a bird, flitting about the space over the airstrip at will. Gauntlets give soldiers the same mobility as an aircraft. Their maximum speed is in no way inferior to the best fighter jets from around the world. And the powerful Gs that would normally put a harsh burden on them have been eased thanks to the anti-G 8MS in their bodies. So it's like nanomachines or something? This allows them to fly in ways pilots of existing aircraft could never even dream of. And when they're taken to the extreme, even ricochet flying is possible. The video changed scenes. A Gauntlet Knight practicing in the skies above the training grounds was being recorded from behind by a friendly plane in pursuit. One moment, the Gauntlet Knight was flying in the elegant, familiar way of a plane, and the next, its trajectory became complicated and bizarre, as if it was being bounced at odd angles like the diffused reflection of light. Because it looked like they were rebounding fiercely off the walls of a pipe as they flew, this was known as ricochet flying. As the word ricochet suggests, the Gauntlet Knight kept flying at fierce, sharp angles without losing any of their speed. Normally, flying like this would put enormous G's on their brain and all over their body, likely killing them instantly. However, 8MS tech has freed them from all of the ground's restrictions. Even amazing mid-air movements like these are now possible. And I want you to pay close attention to this footage. This is a fire control system trying to target a Gauntlet Knight. As it tried to target the ricochet flying Gauntlet Knight, a computer-controlled sight indicator with prediction lines kept appearing and disappearing. The Knight's movement, which ignored the common sense of physics, confused the fire control system, and it was completely unable to lock onto its target. All fire control systems created so far were completely useless against Gauntlet Knights, but it's gonna suck when one actually is useful against them. Though they can display this level of mid-air mobility, Gauntlet Knights are not planes. They truly are infantry. Aerial Augmented Infantry. Their ability to land and take off is completely unrestricted, so they can carry out tactical operations anywhere a human is able to stand. By this point, Gauntlet Knights already possessed all the strengths of fighter jets, VTOL aircraft, which means vertical takeoff landing, and helicopters. So then, what about their weaponry, you ask? You're probably thinking that, regardless of their mobility, they'll be completely useless if they don't have the firepower to take down their targets. But when it comes to Gauntlet Knights, that's an utterly needless concern. The Dimension Container System, brought about by cutting-edge 4DP technology, made it possible for a person to take massive arsenals of weapons and ammunition with them. The scene changed. A boy soldier who was apparently a Gauntlet Knight stood still in what looked like a vehicle service station. Set about him in a radial pattern were all sorts of weapons and ammunition, like a weapon bargain sale. There were rows and rows of missiles designed for fighter jets, just as many precision smart bombs, and even several heavy torpedoes designed for major warships. This was clearly more weaponry than your average fighter jet. Furthermore, there were howitzers and the ammunition laid out alongside them, as well as multi-barreled machine guns with ammo belts folded several times over. And that wasn't all. There were also reconnaissance drones, several types of signal flares, ammunition resupply containers, and various construction kits with everything down to the slightest detail packed in. This massive set of military ordnance can all be carried by a single Gauntlet Knight. And if they specialize in carrying capacity, they can fit in the same amount of weaponry as an attack carrier. Witness the armament of a battleship and the mobility of a fighter jet. This is a Gauntlet Knight. But that's not all. No, for just $19.99, you can get a second one, shipping and handling. They also possess an ultimate technique that cannot be reproduced with any currently existing weaponry. Watch and learn. The scene changed and it now appeared to be an outdoor shooting range. The same Gauntlet Knight boy soldier stepped forward. Several adult soldiers stood side by side some distance away, all pointing guns at him. Oh god. Immediately after a whistle blew, the sound of gunfire and smoke rushed towards the boy as though a bunch of firecrackers had been just set off. And that was it. Nothing happened. It was a bit of a letdown, to be honest. Do you understand what just happened? You don't? Well, allow me to explain. Let's slow it down a bit. The same scene was replayed in super slow-mo. Bullets really were thrown from the barrels of the guns held by the soldiers. However, they were all being bounced back, along with a white glow from a spot directly in front of the Gauntlet Knight. The next time a whistle blew, a soldier who had been lying prone and wielding a light machine gun sent a signal, then laid down a powerful barrage. It was so fierce you could see what was happening clearly now, even without the slow motion. This is the invincible defense Gauntlet Knight proudly wield the rejection shield. The scene changed again. The same soldier boy was standing in a different part of the shooting range, but this time the camera was far away from him. After a countdown, the boy was swallowed up by a massive explosion, like something out of a Hollywood film. But when the flames disappeared, he was still standing there with a blank expression, as though nothing had happened. An invincible defense, an easy control over the skies, and the ability to use endless weapons at will. My god, this is the perfect machine. And every little bit of that is all compressed into a single Gauntlet Knight. Although there are still humans. It'd be better just to make this thing full machine at this point, I feel. In this new era, the numbers representing the military might of nations will surely shrink drastically. All we need to know is how many talented Gauntlet Knights each nation has. The screen changed several more times, showing various scenes of Gauntlet Knights training. Sometimes they led fighter jet formations and sometimes they led aircraft carrier fleets. Then they landed jauntily on the ground surrounded by a tank division. Come, boys and girls yearning to become defenders of peace. Wouldn't you like to join those who stand at the head of all militaries of peace, blazing the way into a new era? Yeah, militaries of peace. The aerial augmented infantry awaits you. The moment you put a gauntlet on your left arm, you will become a Gauntlet Knight. Or that thing in Shin Megami Tensei 4 where you can like wield personas and stuff. Very nicely made. Guys, enough medals. Do you think you could get it a bit shorter though? My back's starting to hurt. Urgh. The old officer rose from a seat in the projection room, rubbing his back. A young, voluptuous female officer who seemed to be a private secretary helped him up. No, no, sir. We cannot make it any shorter in light of the regulations. Is that so? Very well, very well. By the way, kids like explosions, right? Bang, boom, and all that. We've got to add more flashy scenes. Also, the hook in the first 15 seconds is important to understand. Oh my god, did any of you guys remember the really old Marine Corps ad they played where it was like a guy playing like a virtual reality video game and at the end he like transformed into like dress blue like Marine Corps guy? It was the funniest thing ever. It was like, really? Like that's how they wanted kids to like enlist in the army and stuff. Oh man, that was back. Oh man, it's been years now, but it was so great. You can find it on YouTube. It's really funny. Also, the hook in the first 15 seconds is important to understand. I studied film back in the day, so I know all about it. When the old officer started talking proudly, the other officers all took out notepads at once and made a show of writing it down diligently. That guy's gonna be a main character. He has a face. Look at this moronic video they've made. As if just by putting a robot toy on your arm could turn anyone into a superhuman being. In the first place, these area augmented infantry things are just theoretical. If it was just a portable system for individual fight wielded by specialist troops, well, that'd be realistic enough. But then you throw in one bit of ridiculous technology after another and call them Gauntlet Knights? Like, come on, that's lame. What are they, superheroes from some American comic book? True, there weren't any lies in their catalog specs. They could fly fighter jets, carry weaponry like battleships, and set up invincible barriers like tanks. In that propaganda video, the Brat Lady was flying around happily. Still, the shock reduction provided by anti-G8MS isn't invincible. He did a bit too much ricochet flying, and after the shoot, the capillaries in his eyeballs ruptured, eventually rendering him unconscious. If only they filmed it in one take, he'd probably still be able to see. Jesus. So there's like, yeah, they're like breaking it down. It's like, you're not like some god. Even the dimensional container, which worked like a 4-dimensional pocket, kept having issues. Just how many brats have been turned into mincemeat when they tried to open it up and then immediately get hit by an explosion before they could fire up the rejection shields? Even that rejection shield only becomes stable very recently. And if it doesn't work perfectly when a brat's flying 800 kilometers an hour, all it takes is a lazily flying pigeon to smash their head to bits. Well, we'll soon have plenty of brats to work with. Put up flashy ads that at least look good and you'll find all the stupid kids you need. After all, anyone would want to do it. If I'd been in my teens and someone told me I could become the face of our entire military, flying unaided through the sky, I'd be screwed too. Still, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, as they say. In the end, it'll just be an e-sport, or you can't really fly outside the simulator. By the way, aerial augmented infantry boy in this video really is young and bold. I'd like to get a chance to meet him. Do you think you could bring him to dinner tonight? Oh, that sounds excellent. Captain Oganaki. Major General, sir. I'm afraid to say that he's already perished in the line of duty. What? Is that true? What a shame. He looked magnificent, so I was hoping to give his career a boost. Too bad, too bad. Truth be told, that explosion scene in the video just now was also the scene of his death, Major General, sir. The filming schedule was a bit too rushed, so he must have been overworked. He screwed up with his shield during the flashiest scene at the very end. See, that's why I needed to just be all robotic. Thanks to that, we were forced to edit it to make it look like he survived a massive blast. God damn it, it's not like we've got the budget for this kind of thing. Sir, it's about time you went to your car. Oh, okay. Well then, keep up the good work, everyone. Also, everyone's eyes will be on the Aerial Augmented Infantry Division at the Battle Standard Festival, so make sure to give it your all. By the way, I believe a contestant from here in Japan will be representing the ALU, correct? Yes, sir. It's Second Lieutenant Matake Mio of the 17th Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Warcat. Damn it, if that skinny brat's supposed to be representing the rising sun at the International Battle Standard Festival, this world really is screwed. We could start the game. Thank you for waiting so long for us to prepare. Now I will finally start the game. However, are you sure about this? This is merely my personal opinion, but I believe the difficulty level is quite high, given the present circumstances. Still, I am well aware that you know the joy of achieving victory, especially over conditions such as that. This is a considerably high tier of difficulty after all. Your opponent is already fully prepared. But that was the prologue. We can reread it if we want, but why would we? Let's start. I don't know how much of this game is actually in here. Yeah, that looks like a 7th expansion character, alright. Not that it's a bad thing. They got their own charm. The top of Super Tokyo Tower sat 666 meters above the ground. Surrounding it, the scenery of the night stretched as far as the horizon. The hustle and bustle of the surface didn't reach this place, nor did its troubles and complications. The sky is the only place we can be truly free. And there, atop the antenna mast at the peak of the tower, like every anime ever, I stood. My fear of heights is now little more than a fond memory. Of course, that's not really such a great thing. In your everyday life, if you jump out a third-story window and seriously hurt yourself because you can't be bothered to go down a staircase, well, that's just a joke among people like us, but a pretty common one. Just to check, I glanced at my left arm. It was clad in a bulky contraption that resembled some piece of European armor. That device, which extended from my shoulder to my fingertips, was unsurprisingly called a gauntlet. Knowing it was there meant that I could relax and forget about the laws of physics. Phew. I let out a deep breath and gathered my wits. Then I slowly extend my right foot into the black void, the nighttime sea. Gravity pulled on my entire body and I slowly fell forward. I dove into the nighttime sea. The gentle change caused by gravity was soon accelerating me towards the ground at an incredible pace. I was in freefall with the positions of heaven and earth swapped. A natural freefall without any force field manipulation feels the best. My body felt faster and faster. I can never get enough of this sense of acceleration. I was probably getting near the ground, but it felt as though I could sink forever through that black nighttime sea. Part of me wanted to wax poetic, but this was simple vertigo. The sum of my mental data, not including sight, left me fully aware of the speed and trajectory of my fall, as well as the surrounding terrain and the time to impact. The instant before I smashed into the asphalt of the Shuto Expressway, I kicked off the empty air and the ballistic curve of my descent snapped into a right angle. How can you kick off the air? There's nothing there. In the vacant space I'd launched from, something blossomed, delicately bathed in white phosphorescence. They floated in the air, incredibly beautiful, almost as though an angel's feathers had been scattered about. Gravity no longer bound me, though my body was that of flesh and blood. It now soared like a swallow. I'll glide so low I'll be a hair's breadth away from scraping the asphalt of the Shuto Expressway. A train bridge came into sight before me. Across it raced one of those new steam engine locomotives that just debuted this year. The steam engine is synonymous with economic revolution and kicked off a wave of technological advancement. It was also the first step toward mechanized technology. I doubt any of the great technological geniuses of the past would have expected it to make a comeback after the nuclear age. Of course, though it resembles an old steam engine, its operating principle is completely different. After coal, then oil, and then the atom, the next ultimate fuel humanity got its hands on was called spiritum. When spiritum engines convert energy, they expel large clouds of mist that resemble water vapor. And so the haze of countless spiritum engines' exhaust has become the mark of a massive city. I happily burst through the vapor billowing out of that steam locomotive. A forest of skyscrapers awaited me on the other side. All over were buildings with Victorian and Art Nouveau themed designs, like a scene out of the 19th century. The brick facades and spires were beautiful. The golden glitter of the brass steam pipes tangled over every surface was also gorgeous under the floodlights. There were also Japanese-style electric billboards interspersed throughout it. That slightly twisted, yet strangely appealing contrast was the essence of the Tokyo metropolis at night. The cityscape style and fashion scenes were all reminiscent of the 19th century. However, behind the artistic veneer celebrating the rebirth of an economic golden age lay state-of-the-art inventions that could fairly be called the ultimate in human tech. And at the cutting edge of that cutting edge, it had finally become possible for a flesh-and-blood human to fly like this. Of course, this power was only available to a few people so far. I was one of those lucky enough to enjoy this privilege. Every era and every society is fundamentally crap when you get right down to it, but there's one thing I can say. Being granted the ability to fly freely like this makes me glad I was born in this era. Being careful not to fly too high, I raced through the forest of skyscrapers and billboards. This felt way more like flying than staring down from above did. The newspapers keep saying we should cut down the number of electric billboards to avoid disrupting the city's scenery, but I kinda like this look. After all, Tokyo's looked like this since the day I was born. Why should I give a damn about the ancient Tokyo those adults long for so much? This is our Tokyo. As I continued to pick up speed, I slipped past billboards that stretched out over the road and seemingly competed with each other. Greater Tokyo Securities, Miu Spiritum, Yabo Yorozo Life Insurance, Cure All Ales from Manchudu, Mental Displays by Fujix, Cat Karaoke Sushi Cosplay now get 101 SR wheel spins free. Isai Foodstuffs, Eat Wisely, Mighty Soldiers of a Rich Nation. Snacks recommended by the National Defense Boys Club. Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola bottlers are the official sponsor of the International Battle Sticker Festival of Peace. Yeah, I bet they are. I glanced down and saw a gleaming swarm of cars blanketing a highway that wound through the downtown district. The exhilaration feeling of gliding right all over them was by far the most primal part of the primal joy of flying. You know, you forget this feeling if you don't fly every now and then. It's only natural that flying through the air is exhilarating. At that moment, a little frog character hopped into the corner of my mental display. It was Cellcom's beloved mascot, Carapoyo. Then it made a mental announcement with that funny default voice. "A friend has arrived, Poyo." Immediately, a friend started talking to me through my Kizuna. Who the heck's doing that? I'm busy focusing my mind by remembering my primal self. Well, I guess there's only one person it could be. Hey, taking a nice relaxing pleasure flight in a place like this? Leave me alone. I'll bet you haven't warmed up enough yet, huh? Well, Super Genius Jaden has come to play with you. Jeez, you're such a pest. It was my annoying partner. He never leaves me alone, even when I'm trying to focus my mind in solitude. Yeah, warming up's important. For someone like you, at least. As if you didn't expect me to show up right about now. I'm flying for my own sake. It's not like I was waiting for you. You're such a cute tsundere, Meow. What a pain in the ass. Okay, sure, I'm in. I don't want people blaming me if you screw up later on. Activating Dimension Container Poyo. So are we using competition rules? Activating Reaper's Eye. Friendly unit Jaden located. Registering as hostile Poyo. Nah, we can leave it like this. You like this place, right? Hostile unit Jaden has activated its Reaper's Eye. We've been located Poyo. Don't act like you're doing me a favor by saying that. We don't need a killjoy like rules. Let's just go all out on each other. While we smack talk each other, we both started circling the Miu Spiritum building, hiding behind it. It blocked our line of fire, but in a gauntlet fight, cover like something from an infantry battle meant nothing. Time to get started. Let's play. And you know what? I'm going to end it right there. So if you guys want to see the rest of this, you just have to play the game. Ciconia When They Cry, test version, or the demo. It's the demo, essentially. Like the guy wants feedback on the demo, and it seems like it's okay so far. I haven't come up across any real issues, so yeah, it seems like it's progressing nicely. And it should be out, I think at end of this year is what they said, so I'm pretty sure it'll be out. And I'll have links in the description below if you want to follow the developer and, you know, play the game yourself. So I hope you all have a nice day and take care.